Welcome to another episode of Barman Saturdays, and this week I also decided to take a look at Golden Film's version of Snow White. And I have to admit right out of the gate, I really wish, Golden Films would list who their voice actors are for these various projects. Like, we'll get a voice director listed, but we don't usually get, the voice actors themselves listed for these projects. I suppose the same is true, of a lot of Burbank Animation Studios and Good Time Entertainment and other, cheap animated studios. They just don't like listing, who they're hiring to do the voices. Maybe it's cheaper that way, so they don't have to, give them as much money if they're not, crediting them in the end credits of the film, which I guess is a dick move, but, I guess if you want to get your film out there for cheap, that's just something you're probably going to have to do, But I really wish they wouldn't, because I really like to know who does the voices, because sometimes, you might be surprised. Like, the Prince here is voiced by Cam Clark, and while his character's not on the cover here, Cam Clark voices the hand mirror in this one. And you're like, gosh darn it, Cam Clark, like, how many of these cheap handmade films were you in? But, yeah. The only reason I realized he's in this one so easily was because he basically does the same voice for Leonardo as he does for the hand mirror. So I guess mirrors fight with honor! As far as the film itself goes, it tries to be a more comedic take on Snow White, or at least have more comedy bits thrown into it, to break away from the more seriousness of, like, the Disney version, which is a mixed blessing, because the comedy is rather flat in my opinion, but others might like it. It's one of those things that you never know. When it comes to comedy, it's very subjective. Some might find, Cam Clark's bit with the mirror here, very amusing.
Yeah, here we go. She's gonna throw me. I just knew this was gonna happen.
That horrible, simple girl. I knew she would only bring me trouble.
Is it over? How many pieces am I in?
I absolutely cannot have this happen!
Look, I'm fine. Hey, I'm actually in one piece. Hey, thanks, Queenie. I mean it. You are the best. Yeah?
Quiet, fool!
Tomorrow, I look for a new job.
And some people might like this bit, lifted from, basically Spies Like Us for the Dwarves. Pretty good, albeit I think it's rather odd, and a lot of my coworkers agree with me, because they're not repeating a title like Doctor over and over and over again, but the same name over and over and over again, which just comes across as lazy. Sort of like, Mario and Luigi Mario.
You called, Joe?
Why didn't Joe fill the mine car?
I have no idea, Joe. Maybe Joe can tell you. Joe, why didn't you fill this car here, Joe?
Well, it wasn't my job today, Joe. It was Joe's job.
It was my job yesterday, Joe.
And you didn't do it, so that means it's your job today.
But Joe didn't do it the day before, so it's his job today.
And the day before, it was Joe's job. But the day before that was your job, and you didn't do it. Because Joe didn't do his job.
Well, I was waiting for Joe to do his job.
Hold it! We're getting nowhere. Let's go eat. We'll work it out tomorrow.
But I will say the dwarves probably get some of the best lines in this film. Like, when the dwarves first come home and realize, someone's been in their house, one of the dwarves is like, will our insurance cover it? Which is rather weird, because I didn't know they had insurance back then, but who knows, maybe, when the past they did have a lot more insurance. I suppose that was something the Templars did when it came to, like, helping transport people when it came to their money. So stuff like that. So I suppose insurance companies could have existed in a sense. Not in the modern sense, but in ancient sense there may have been something similar going on there. But, if you found those bits rather boring or dull, like, you're probably not going to enjoy this film that much. Like, it's just going to get rather boring and stale sit, and you're going to be like, it's one thing off my bucket list, but I honestly wouldn't be better off, watching Escape from New York or something else. So, yeah, it's one of those films where, like, if you like the comedic bits you saw, maybe check it out. Otherwise, probably just go look at something else, because it's just not going to, be your cup of tea.
Quick, get the magic wand, Joe, before she turns us into tall people.